Hey there, Jessica from the Experience family here, and today we are going to be talking about 5 fun things to do with kids in Quebec City. Okay, so this is going to be a little bit of a throwback to pre-COVID times. So I just wanted to throw that out there before I even went into any of the fun things that we did while we were in Quebec City. At the time of our trip, my girls were ages 2 and 4, and they had a blast. So it was actually really unusually warm while we were there. I think it was in the 90s, which is not very common from what I'm told in Quebec City. So let's go ahead and just talk about some of the fun things that we did there. So the first thing that I want to recommend doing is to explore the city and find the splash pads. So they are sprinkled all over Quebec City and the areas surrounding Quebec City. And they're really nice to cool off on a hot day. And that is exactly what my kids did. They ran through them with their clothes, with their bathing suits. And it's funny because you'll see lots of other kids doing the same thing. And then the coolest thing to me that I hadn't really seen before is in the evening, the splash pads, they're more like fountains than splash pads, but kids play in them, and at nighttime the fountains light up like different rainbow colors, and so the kids will like run back and forth. So it was so fun in the evenings whenever the sun went down to see the kids all in their clothes at that time, whether they had just for us, we had just finished eating dinner and we were walking home, just to see a lot of kids like running around in these fountains and enjoying cooling off on a nice hot summer day. So that was really fun and something that I'm not really used to seeing. So I thought that was a really nice touch that the city has those. I don't know if those were intended to be splash pads or not. However, it seems that no one has a problem with kids running through them all hours of the day. So it seems like it has, if that wasn't their intention, then it had a really nice kind of like side bonus benefit there for the kids. All right, so the next really fun thing that we did is we dined at a restaurant called La Bouche, and our kids got to make their own maple candy there. So this is actually a tradition in Quebec in the wintertime where they will pour maple syrup on snow and it freezes. It turns into kind of like a taffy consistency, and they'll wrap it around a stick. So as a dessert option, you can actually make your own there. So my kids chose to do that. And then they kind of have you go into the back of the restaurant where they have this kind of snowy ice freezer type thing set out, and they pour the maple on, and then your child gets a stick and they get to wrap the maple syrup around it as it hardens and kind of turns into that like taffy like consistency. So that was a really fun kind of unique experience that my kids really enjoyed as well. All right, so the third thing that we did that we thought was fun was we went to the toy store. It's called Benjo Inc. And I guess they refer to themselves as the most beautiful toy store in Quebec. And now we didn't go to any other toy stores. We don't really have any frame of reference, but I would agree with that. It was really neat. And I liked the quality of the toys. There are lots of different types of toys, but we were able to get some pretty high quality toys there. Wooden toys and things that, I felt like my kids played with for a lot of years. They're still playing with some of the things, even though this was like years ago. So I like the quality of the toys, and it was just fun too to see another country's take on a toy store. But it was really fun and really colorful. And what I wouldn't suggest is walking unless you're staying close to that area, because we walked, oh my goodness, it was probably 2.5 miles, and we were going uphill and downhill with this huge double stroller on these cobblestone streets. And by the time we got there, we were so tired, but we were still pretty pumped up to go in the toy store. But then once we made our purchase and we realized that it was time to leave, we were like, oh my goodness, we have to walk all the way back now. So I would consider other transportation options and not necessarily walking if you have something like a big stroller, but it's definitely worth visiting for sure. All right, something else that was really fun for us was taking the funicular from Le Chateau Frontenac down. It's like an incline. It's if you walk down, it's very steep. kind of windy street, which is fine. We did that many times as well, but it's also fun. It's not expensive to pay to take it down. It's like a couple of dollars, and it's kind of like a gondola, but it goes down the steep incline and it takes you down to Petite Champlain, like the shopping area with lots of restaurants, and that's kind of like where all the action is. And it's also just really beautiful. I mean, the streets are beautiful, the storefronts are beautiful, and it's definitely something worth seeing and grabbing a bite down there and just kind of walking around. And it feels very Parisian to me. So just kind of exploring the streets and taking in the idea of being in another country. All right, another fun thing for families to do in Quebec City is to take the ferry across the St. Lawrence River over to Lévis. So we did that one day, and there actually was a big splash pad right over there whenever we got there. So my kids were really excited about that, and once again was running through the fountain splash pad area with their clothes on. But it was a lot of fun, and the views are beautiful of the Chateau Frontenac whenever you're going across the St. Lawrence River, because you're seeing it from a different angle than you are as if you're staying there or if you're just walking around the area in Quebec City. So definitely fun for the kids to be on the ferry and then kind of run around over in Lévis as well. So I have one more tip for you because I realized that this is actually tip number 6, but that is to take a carriage ride. They have horse-drawn carriages that go around the city, and actually it was really beautiful. We did not stay at the Chateau Frontenac. We rented an Airbnb. I think it was actually through Verbo, not Airbnb, but we rented a little apartment, and it was magical. At night we kept the windows open because there was no air conditioning, which was a little problematic because it was in the 90s, but I think that's so uncommon for Quebec City that they just deal with it if they have little heat waves like that. So anyway, we would sleep with the windows open at night, and you could hear the trotting of the horses, and we could also look out our window and see the horses going up and down the streets, drawing the carriages behind. So that was a really magical thing. We actually did not get to do that for that visit, but if we could go back and do it again, I think that's something that we would have added onto our trip. Okay, so I hope that you found those tips to be helpful. We do put out new video content every Sunday, so go ahead and click that subscribe button to follow along.